So here we are at the Civi CRM homepage, and in dealing with this system, everybody who is associated with this system in some way, shape, or form is considered a contact. Doesn't matter if they are a person receiving services, or if they're a person providing services, or if they're a volunteer or an organization. They're all considered a contact. And so we're going to go ahead and enter in a new contact. There are three selections for entering in a new contact. You have new individual, new household, and new organization. We're going to enter in a new individual, which is probably the one that you will actually use the most. So, seems pretty self-explanatory here with first name, middle name, last name. So I'm just going to add a few things in here, some sample data. This is a current employer. Now, as you'll notice as I begin typing here, I get something here. I get John Doe's employer, which is some information that we already have added into the database. So, John Doe's employer. This is a feature that you're going to see a lot in this database. As you begin typing things into certain fields, it's going to look up other contacts that might already be in there. And if it finds something that's matching what you're typing, it's going to place it in a list here so that you can just click and select that. Okay? Now, these entries already have to be in the database. It's not just going to magically come up with them. But as you enter things in the database, you will get longer and longer lists depending on what you're typing there. So, place to enter in job title. We'll say he's that guy. And a place for a nickname, email address. This here. Here's a way to denote what the email address is for, whether it's home, work, billing. You're going to see these 5 selections tagged a lot to different areas in the database. On hold just signifies that for some reason we don't want to remove this email from the database, but don't use it at this point in time. Bulk mailings just says that they're okay with receiving bulk mailings is all. Place to enter in a phone number. Once again, that same selection list denoting what it's for, but here we have a secondary one, also denoting what type of phone it's for. Instant Messenger, if they have an Instant Messenger account, you could put in their username here and also list what instant messaging service it is for, as well as their Skype account. OpenID if they have one, and any websites that they may be associated with. Source and external ID. Source, you could place whatever you wanted in source. It's not significant in this particular setting. External ID is for importing things from legacy databases and won't be something that you'll need to use. Over here, we have a browse upload image, and this allows us to upload a picture of the individual or an avatar, whatever they might want to have, you might want to have associated with this particular contact. Over here we have a button that says check for matching contacts. This system will allow you to enter in duplicate contacts, and there's a good reason for that. You could have people in your congregation that have the exact same first, last, and middle name. And if any of those were the primary keys, or a combination of those were, then it wouldn't allow you to add in another contact. And so here, this will allow you to actually check for those matching contacts. Down here, you'll see some other selections, and then accordion box that were collapsed there. Here you'll have a way to enter in addresses, as well as to note this is the primary location for the contact, or if it's just a billing address. We'll just add in some more sample data there. Zip, postal code. Okay, latitude and longitude, this is something that will actually get automatically calculated by Google Maps. So, communication preferences, as you'll see, this will simply denote whether they do not want to be contacted by phone, email, SMS. Here you also have a selection that says do not trade their information. I doubt any information will be getting traded in this system. So, preferred methods of contact, whether they prefer to get contacted by phone, email, postal mail, SMS, or fax. Their preferred language, if their preferred language is different than English. These areas up here, these are just used to format emails and postal letters and such, and should not be changed. So down here you can, there's just a secondary way to go ahead and mark and ensure that they do not receive any bulk emails of any kind whatsoever. If they are behind a corporate firewall, they may not be able to receive HTML messages, in which case you'll want to select this text selection here, which will ensure that any emails they get sent from the system will be in a format that they'll be able to receive. This is a notes field. This is just for entering in an initial note when you create the contact. This is not the screen that you will come back to enter notes. Like I said, just for an initial note to add to the contact. We're not going to add anything in here, although I will mark that he doesn't want to be contacted by phone and prefers to be contacted by email, for example. Demographics, just enter in that John is a male and he was born a considerable time ago. If the contact happens to be deceased or passes away, you can select that here, as well as select the date that the individual passed away. Tags and groups. Over here, these will probably get used primarily when you're inputting an organization, or if the individual happens to be a major donor, if you begin to use the system to track donors. If the individual is a user of the system, then you'll want to select administrator to ensure that they have administrative privileges. But we're not going to do that with John here. So then we're just going to click Save, and as long as all of the information was entered in correctly and all the necessary information was entered in, you will get this screen right here, which is what you will see when you look up a contact. And in the next video, we will go over this particular screen and also how to find a contact.